So, you finally want to talk about Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I do actually. Can you tell us what's happening with Joe, if anyone's missed it?
He's just signed an exclusive deal with Spotify. So, and I actually don't think that you can get his stuff on Spotify at the moment.
Oh, really?
Surely. I feel like it was never uploaded there before. So it's an exclusive deal where he starts putting the video and the audio on Spotify from September.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometime around the big end of the year, beginning of next year, it's exclusively on Spotify and nowhere else.
Oh, I thought it was exclusive from September.
No, so they're doing a transition period.
Right.
From what I gather. But they're still going to put the clips up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And apparently the deal is for $100 million, which is not...
Yeah. I mean, that's like not verified, but that's the kind of guess at the moment. It's all pretty exciting. So tell me about how what you think, because you're an interesting podcast listener. Because my understanding is you don't listen to podcasts except for Joe's, which is on YouTube, right?
I listen to a lot of media, though, that I would say is a podcast, but in a different form. So I watch one guy who is a mountain bike YouTuber who does all POV stuff. So he's got like a chest mount with a GoPro on it, and he rides around the world. But he talks the whole time, and they're kind of like podcasts. They go for about an hour. The Patreon ones go for a bit over an hour. The non-Patreon up to 40 minutes. And he just he talks. It's like a podcast, but the background sound is a mountain bike careening down a mountain.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's interesting now that podcasts seem to be going down this video road, which is like, well, how is it a podcast now? You mean you're just having a long conversation? Is that what a podcast is? Like, how do we even say what a podcast is?
Well, I watched a video this morning between Andrew Scholes and Charlemagne the God, who have two really funny, and Andrew's got two really funny podcasts because he's a comedian in New York. But he's got one podcast with Charlemagne the God. And what people don't realise about Charlemagne in Australia, I think, because he's not like a well-known celebrity here, is he's like a radio personality, like an actual radio personality. And he was talking about how the paradigm shift is like radio stations have realised that you just need something to play songs and a bit of talking in between rather than actual personality. He's one of the last radio guys that's a radio guy. I guess he's sort of like our Kyle Sandilands, but cooler and black and not a complete idiot. I think podcasts have really, I've listened to NPR radio shows and they're just podcasts. Every now and then there's a bit of music in it. So I think that's where that's what's changed in it's not new, it's just a different format that's a bit more accessible. So apparently the Joe Rogan deal is Spotify's building an arm for video for him. Because he wants a big part of watching Joe Rogan's podcast is watching the video. I have listened in the car before and it's not the same because sometimes it's just insane. Sometimes it's not, and it's a really good, I don't know, you got some dietitian who talks for 2 hours about and this is what this one protein in a nut does to kill you. But sometimes he's got Alex Jones on, and Alex Jones is an actual crazy person who's talking about being choked out for fun and then seeing God. And you have to watch that. It's so good to actually watch, or some of the fight companions. And so
yeah, that's interesting. I think the only video I've watched is the Elon Musk one, the first Elon Musk one. Or any other Joes I've listened to as a traditional podcast, with my ears. But it's really interesting they're going down this video path, wanting to compete with YouTube. I'm really curious. I was actually talking to someone about this morning, about the searchability of podcasts. because the SEO on podcasts are just, it's so lacking. I'm really curious to see what the future of that is. Since we're like I feel like we've both been saying like it's a podcast boom for like 5 years, and we're still in it.
And I don't really ever see anything. I don't see podcasts marketed at all. I see them used as marketing and like as business, as like a way. I think like Sarah Holloway has something yay. I don't know. It's something like
Seize the yay.
Seize the yay. That's it.
Is that what the podcast is called though? I'm gonna feel really bad if we get it wrong, because that is one that's going absolutely gangbusters. Amazing.
Yeah, and like I've never listened to it. I should listen. There's one that I want to listen to. I'm just like, I don't like. I'm so far from the target market. It's not funny. But
and you know what? Sorry to interrupt, but you know how I even found out about that, and we know Sarah, but I found out about it from fucking Gary V's YouTube channel. Like how amazing!
Gary.
Yeah, like living the dream, man. Totally seizing the yay.
I just feel like it's really blown up for her. Like it's a big thing, but it's also not marketed at all. And I think it's seen as more. I think
it probably is marketed. I think maybe you're just not
out of the loop a little bit.
Yeah, not the demo. I'm sure it's marketed.
Sorry, I'm a fabulous businesswoman who deals in health food.
Well, you know, I haven't really seen it marketed, so maybe it isn't.
With the Spotify and video, like I think that, like I've been watching a lot of YouTube in this downtime, like a disgusting amount. I hate myself.
Sure.
And I've noticed that there's like YouTube has really changed, and I've got some ideas as to why. But fine. There's been lots of controversies about really big channels being given the flick off the website for no apparent reason. And there's some that's like, oh, it's no apparent reason. All I did was like show my balls, or 5G causes COVID, and I'm not going to stop posting about this, or like there's some that people cry wolf. It's like, no, you're an idiot.
I mean, the showing your balls is one thing, but like expressing your opinion is another. Like maybe that's a crazy opinion, but people still have a right to share.
Plus, YouTube has this. I watched an hour-long breakdown of Liza Koshy's new show last night.
What's her name? Sorry, Liza Koshy. Yeah. She's only like the most popular female YouTube creator in the world. God.
Yeah, didn't it say Liza?
Liza.
Liza
with a Z. Come on.
I feel like I am saying Liza. Oh, I'm not. Like I can't. Like I can't say
Liza.
Yeah, well, I've obviously got a speech impediment.
Clearly. What's my name? Zoe.
Zoe, yeah. Zoe. Zoe. Like I watched a breakdown of her very unpopular YouTube Red show. Like
YouTube Red. It's not called that anymore, man.
Isn't it? I refuse to subscribe to it. No, this is a Spotify household.
No, I don't think it was poorly received. It's just that no one's willing to pay for something they've always done for free.
Well, I mean that is.
I think that's the core issue with YouTube Premium.
I just feel like it's so ridiculous to be like, oh, you've got like millions of followers. That's great. That's really cool. Everything that you do like smashes it out of the park. Have you tried doing like a scripted TV show where you have a creative hand into writing it? It's like there's not many people who can go from I write for a YouTube video to I write a network style show, because there's two different skill sets. Like it's very difficult. And it just seems all the criticisms that I've seen on that show in particular, or in this one video that I've watched anyway, it's basically like, oh yeah, you gave someone who has creative control of one thing too much creative control of this, because everyone raves about this one particular episode that wasn't written by their usual writers. They got like these new people in.
Yeah.
And apparently that episode's really, really good.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, like all the other episodes are really bad. And it's like, yeah, that's like, it's just bad writing that, you know, probably would have been greenlit anywhere else because.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a interesting, I don't know, it's just an interesting place that we're in where obviously people are, like companies are trying to make money out of these people who have like built everything themselves, right? So it's just such, it is a different skill set. But I mean, you think about like Shane Dawson's series, right? It's him and like his editor, and like they're doing the work and getting the same amount of views as like a whole bloody production company. Like it's insane. It's just new territory.
Yeah.
So of course they're trying out scripted shows, they're trying out this and that. So of course some things are going to work and some are not. It's just a real experimental game right now.
Yeah. And I think Shane Dawson's a great example of someone doing YouTube right.
Oh yeah.
Because they're really just like he's just honed into this is what I like. He's really like, this is what I like, and this is the style that I'll do it in. And he's really, I feel like he's unapologetic about everything, and it's really good content. Like it's compelling content.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I feel like if you like shoehorned him and started doing things like written by a committee, it'd be terrible.
And you know what, in saying that, he does have that movie that he put out a few years ago, which I like loved, but it's kind of more of that guilty pleasure. I never would actually be like, hey, this is a good movie.
Yeah. But I feel like I remember watching it and feeling like, oh, this is like, everyone knows what this is about. Like it was a bit of a, I'm going to make like one of my YouTube videos, but I've got real money behind it because why not? And I'm like, that's fine. It's not trying to be like, I'm going to make, I don't know, like the next Chuck Lorre production, which, I mean, yeah, all of this stuff's terrible anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, why is that what we're aspiring to be?
Well, because he's very successful. I mean, Chuck Lorre, as bad as I feel all the shows that he does, they're all super popular because he knows what he's doing. He's got that skill set. Just like if you got a Chuck Lorre production on YouTube, it'd be awful. It'd be like all ham-fisted internet references. Someone would definitely save the 4chan at some point in it.
Well, it's kind of like how all these shows are having their comebacks and trying to be so topical and so internet friendly, like Will and Grace. And it's like, this is just going to age so poorly. Like, what was so good about these shows is that they're timeless classics. Now you're trying to be so trendy that it's embarrassing.
And I feel like if you, what I haven't seen yet in a traditional media show, except for Gogglebox. But I mean, I guess that's not a traditional, like it's not like a scripted show. But it's like I want like shareable snippets, so like people will get onto our YouTube channel and watch a bunch of these. Do you mind? I'm having a conversation.
So let's circle all the way back to the start again then.
Let's close the loop.
We've got Spotify taking something that, well, I mean, it was on all platforms, but I would say predominantly on YouTube.
And iTunes. Apparently lots of people got it off the Apple podcast.
Yeah, of course. Apple is still the biggest player. But how do you feel about Spotify coming into the space in such a huge way? Because they also, don't forget, have got Gimlet Media as well, which is like, I would say, the gold standard of podcasts. Yeah,
I think it's good that someone else is throwing up a video alternative that's viable. Because
I guess that is a point of difference.
Like if you watch any of Joe Rogan's podcasts, there's so many times it's like, you know, oh hey Jamie, pull that up, and it's like, oh, it's a YouTube video, and if we play it in the background, get demonetized. And I like getting demonetized when 40 million people are going to watch your video is a big deal. And there's so much that he's obviously, I feel like he's quite censored in a lot of ways. Like the Alex Jones podcast that he did, I think that was demonetized because Alex Jones is like a crazy right-wing crackpot.
Well, you also have to consider that Joe makes money in other ways. Like, it's not all from the views or whatever. I honestly don't even think that's the majority of the money he makes from the show. I think it's all the brand sponsorships and stuff. I wonder what if the Spotify deal means anything with advertisers, if any of that will change.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think they've got that long lead time from September to the end of the year to really figure out how it's going to work.
Yeah.
But I think it's brilliant that he's got a deal where he's like, yeah, I'll get $100 million. It's exclusive. I'll still upload the clips to YouTube. I'm like,
but I think they'll be like broken up short clips.
Oh yeah, they are. But like JRE clips is a whole separate channel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like it gets just as many views.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff is quite.
I mean, his podcasts are long. Like, not everybody is wanting to invest an hour at the minimum. Most of them are like 2 hours.
Oh, and then he'll get into one that, he's got some that are like 3,
5
hours. He's just gone high with his friend. I mean, and they're often hilarious, but it's like, Jesus, can I go through like 5 hours of this? Because the next day another 2 are coming out.
Yes, he puts out an impressive amount of content.
It's so hard to like keep on top of his if you listen to them religiously.
Yeah, if you miss 1 week, like, you're fucked. You're never catching back up.
Oh yeah, that's it. Like you just got to pick the best one of the 5 and then just be like, that's the one I'm listening to this week.
Yeah. Or you put them all at double speed.
I mean, I've even done that before, and it's still like I've wanted to listen to like 2 or 3 in a day. It's like even at double speed, it's my whole day.
Yeah,
at the end of it, it feels like you've gone to uni. You're just like, oh God, I've just sat there and had someone talk at me for 5 hours straight.
Do you think it'll force you to get or listen to the podcast on Spotify?
Oh yeah.
Are you going to follow Joe?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that there needs to be like video online is a complete monopoly.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, even from a podcast standpoint, like, what is there? Apple.
Yeah, which is where I feel like one of Spotify's great strengths. Now, like, because I'm like 100% in on Apple. Like, I love everything Apple. I'm never going to move away from that from that ecosystem at all. Yeah, I won't use Apple Music because the algorithm on Apple Music is just dumb. Like, the algorithm is awful on Apple Music. And like sometimes on Spotify, it's, I don't know, you put like 5 songs from one artist and then it's like, oh, recommended song, and it's something ridiculous. But the amount of times that actually happens, like now I know that I can turn on my Spotify right now and play one song, and I know that I will like probably 75% of the songs that it chooses for me for the next 12 hours.
Yeah.
And I think YouTube's big problem is its algorithm. Is like an issue with their algorithm. So I wonder if Spotify gets enough video content, like if they start getting like YouTube levels of uploads, I mean, I don't know how they can. I think they're going to be struggling to have a tech framework to handle that. But if they get all that ironed out, otherwise you're going to be stuck with like Vimeo, and like Vimeo is terrible to load. Looks great, and you can personalize it.
Yeah, it's a different beast again.
How many times have you just gone to load a video on Vimeo and it like glitches out and it doesn't do it properly or it doesn't buffer properly? But I think Spotify has got the money to get the talent to fix those problems. If their algorithm is as good on video as it is on audio, they're going to kill it.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the search functionality is going to be like.
Yeah.
Because obviously YouTube's got like the Google search behind it. Be curious as more content is put up there.
I feel like so much stuff that I get pushed by YouTube is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's one thing, the trending page, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, that's obviously it's all like paid for or manipulated in some way. Oh, well, I mean, there's some that you know are there, and you're like, why? There's no reason for this to be it. But it's like I don't feel like that matters that much compared to what you get pushed like on your homepage and as you're watching. And, you know, you got to like give people a voice and sort of let people talk themselves into a hole and prove their opinion is dumb. But God, when you've got an algorithm that viciously tells you, like viciously gets you into what keeps you at the computer, so that's a whole other thing.
It's just these like silos of the same kind of thought. Like you find your like-minded people. That's not necessarily a healthy, good thing.
Yeah, and once you're deep enough into a session, there's no movement left or right. It just keeps on going down. Like it really, it just does that. So I think that's.
I mean, it's like when you watch a couple of TikTok compilations, and then that's all that YouTube suggests for you, and you're like, no, I want to watch something normal now. I feel okay.
Yeah.
It's not the middle of the night. Please serve me up anything else.
And you've really got to like actively work to get to
clear your feed.
Yeah.
You know what? I forgot to ask. Are you going to listen to other podcasts now, aside from the ones that you work on?
Yeah, I am. I do want to listen to.
And what platform do you think you'll use?
I pretty much, if it's not on Spotify, it'll be off YouTube. I really don't. I don't. Well,
do you have an app on your phone?
I have the Apple app. The one
Apple
that comes
Podcast.
with it. Yeah. But I get free streaming off Spotify. So.
So you reckon Spotify will be the one?
Yeah, definitely. It's,
let's see how it goes.
Everything to listen to, and it's. I find it really easy to navigate, and it's just a good platform. I mean, you know, like it's not actually a good platform, and Spotify terrible.
Maybe we won't go there. What platform did you listen to In My Truth on the other day?
Spotify.
There you go.
Yeah. 100%.
Interesting. I never use Spotify for podcasts. I use it for music.
Does a stream count the same as a download with podcasts?
Yeah, it does. And actually, in most analytics, you have Spotify-specific analytics too.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, the integration is pretty interesting.
Because I know the way they count music is like if you download a song off iTunes, it counts for more than if you stream a song.
Oh, yeah.
I guess you're talking monetary wise and
what
money is there in podcasts?
Oh, just like fucking $100 million. That's how much. So fuck that stupid ABC PSA they put out. Like, yes, make a podcast, everyone. Make as many as you want. Did you see that?
What have I missed? No.
Fucking Michaela Bennis is on it. You need to get in touch with her and bring her onto my podcast and talk to her about it. All these Aussies did this little thing like, we know you're in lockdown, but please don't make a podcast. We don't care about what you have to say.
Oh,
it's just rude. I actually want you to get in touch with Michaela.
Yeah, that is rude. Oh, don't even get me started on how like the government's handing out money and the same 12 people are getting it again.
Yeah, that's the arts in Australia. It's like
I know it's just ridiculous.
I don't want to go there because hopefully they'll give us some.
But you should definitely watch Russell Brand's take on the Spotify move.
Yeah, you know, I just saw that in my YouTube feed.
It's interesting because his podcast. Do you have to pay for it?
On Luminary, yeah. So Luminary is another platform, but it's a paid platform. But so there's another one, really good one on there, Metaphysical Milkshake with Rainn Wilson from The Office.
Love it.
But all I really know is from Rainn's interview on Russell Brand's podcast, which was basically they just get almost no listeners because it's a paid platform. Just don't think people are ready to pay for podcasts.
Well, I sent you a link a while ago for that. There's a Netflix show called The Midnight Gospel.
Sorry, I don't have time to watch TV anymore.
Yeah. Well,
too many podcasts to listen to.
It's a podcast, not a TV show. It's animated by the guy who animated Adventure Time, but the writer for it is Duncan Trussell, who's a comedian but is really like spirit. Like, well, I mean, go watch the Duncan Joe Rogan podcast. It's really good.
Okay.
So the whole show is basically like it's a psychedelic, weird cartoon, but it's a podcast. That is all it is. It is a podcast.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
That's interesting.
I feel like there's I feel like what it comes down to a lot of the time is a lot of these are like conversations that with a little bit of editing become a really good story, or like there is a good element of story in there. And that's what people are really craving. And it's all like the Midnight Gospel it's so worth watching if you're into anything like anything spiritual, anything to do with psychedelics, anything to do like the one episode is just Duncan's podcast that he did with his mum just before his mother died of like bone cancer.
Oh, wow.
And it's a whole podcast. And the animation, and it's the most touching thing I've seen in so long. It's just so real, and it's not, you know, Fifi and Fev talk about something, but it's podcast version. It's like a real human conversation that I think people don't have anymore.
Yeah, right.
I don't think people actually sit down and have conversations about like esoteric mysticism and how it makes them feel, which seems like a really dumb thing, but then you go and watch a show like that and you're like, oh, I've thought about this, because it's all about life and death and what are you doing with it, and how does it make you feel, and that's what a lot of podcasts are doing. And I really think that Russell Brand sums up Joe Rogan if anyone doesn't like Joe Rogan, I think that 10 minutes will really sum up why he's popular, because I think he's really nailed it.
What are you saying? Can you give us Cliff's Notes?
Because
I mean, sorry, just to give context, I hate Joe Rogan, but I really respect the fact that he has built his podcast and now has this amazing deal with Spotify. Like, legendary.
I think what makes Joe Rogan, and like I mean, this is what Russell Brand has said as well, and he's sort of put it into words that I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that feeling is that you can talk about a lot about men's health, and it's like bro science, which I mean there is plenty of in Joe Rogan. There's plenty of like, oh man, just go do kettlebells, and I have my
basic
testosterone
dude stuff.
It is basic dude stuff. And there's all
I
that.
I love that guy.
Oh yeah, T-Mac.
I just watched a video of his actually like basic dude stuff, number 16, and it was like admiring your flowers when you were the one who planted them. Basic dude stuff. Like, hell yeah, boy.
He's so good.
I love it.
But like I think Joe Rogan has done a lot of psychedelics, and like all the jokes are like, oh, it's have you tried? That's really bad. Your mum died. Have you tried DMT? But I think because he has really dived into that, and because he's very open to what all of his guests say, which I know is an interview style that
and that's my biggest criticism of him, because he is too accepting of what people say. I don't think he gives them asks them enough hard questions or ever disagrees, and that's why I actually don't like him.
Yeah. And I think when he does want to disagree with someone, he sets up a podcast with the two people, with someone he does agree with, and he lets them go at it.
So he never has to be the one.
Yeah, exactly. That's but you know, a lot of Joe Rogan stuff is men's health, but he also talks about spirituality. And I think he starts a lot of conversations with men who aren't the kind of men to start those conversations off the bat by themselves, because of lots of different reasons. And he's able to get the ball rolling and actually talk about stuff of like...
Yeah, that's a good point.
So Russell Brand said that he appeals to the blue-collar working man who is open to intellectual pursuits. And it's this real... In a world of like, not hard edges, but a world of like extreme compartmentalization, where it's like, oh, I'm a tradie and I like to watch MMA and someone beaten up, or like I'm, like really like into yoga and spirituality and I love Bali retreats. Mm-hmm. There is this like...
You can actually be two things.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like this regular... I think the large amount of people on earth, men and women, are just like this regular kind of person who's a little bit of that and a little bit of this. Mm-hmm. And I think Joe Rogan really taps into that, where he's like, I like to punch someone in the head, but we want to talk about what it might feel like to die. And that's a big thing. That's like a big goal.
That's true.
Yeah. And he's very popular. But if you don't like... And I most of the criticisms that I hear that aren't just, oh, Joe Rogan bad, oh my God, please ask the question. But there's some people that really open up because there's no roadblock for them. Like, he lets people go onto weird tangents.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of, I think we've probably spoken long enough. Thank you very much for your insights on both men and also audio.
I know both not too bad. I'm pretty good at both.
Yeah, you are. That's great. All right, cheers, dude.
If you want to do an actual podcast, hit me up. I'm less than $75,000 an episode.
Well, that's a good start.